Ms. McMahon and Ms. Wilridge strut back into the courtroom, ready to unpack even more jaw-dropping secrets about their late dad. Last time, they uncovered his double life, complete with secret affairs and undisclosed children, sparking gasps all around. Now, they're digging deeper into yet another potential scandal involving their father. Buckle up, because the roller coaster is just getting started.
Ms. McMahon and Ms. Wilridge, in your previous appearance in our courtroom, you learned your deceased dad had kept a secret from you your entire life. It turns out that he had cheated on your mother, and you discovered that a good friend of yours, actually your biological sister.
And the plot thickens. Ms. Swan steps up with a bombshell claim that she too had an affair with the father of Ms. McMahon and Ms. Wilridge. Keeping it hush-hush because he was married adds layers to the drama, stirring the pot and the audience's reactions in the courtroom. Next up, we're turning up the heat even more, if you can believe it.
Ms. Swan, you're the woman who claims to have had an affair with their father. You admit that you kept it a secret because he was a married man. You believe your son was a result of that relationship, and he is indeed their brother. Your son, Mr. Williams, is waiting outside of the courtroom, and we'll meet him in just a moment.
Wait till you get a load of this. Mr. Williams, the son Ms. Swan claims is from her affair, waits just outside the courtroom doors, adding a dash of suspense about his potential connection to Ms. McMahon and Ms. Wilridge. The air is thick with tension and unanswered questions about family secrets. You'll want to stick around for this. It's a real doozy.
Well, back in 1999, I was shown a picture. I was at someone that we considered a cousin because we were so close growing up. We were at their house, and I was shown a picture of a little boy. I think he probably had to be about 7 at that time. I was told that it was my brother. I looked at the picture, but I didn't see any resemblance.
Talk about a throwback. Back in 1999, Ms. McMahon first glimpsed a photo of a kid said to be her brother, which she shrugged off at the time. Fast forward to 2001, the supposed brother shows up claiming his place in the family tree, stirring up all kinds of feelings and confusion. Just when you think you've seen it all, there's more to the story.
But in 2001, there was someone that showed up at my mom's house, and he claimed to be my dad's son. I was not at the house at the time, but my other sisters and my mom got a chance to meet and talk to him. My sister Gloria was there, and she actually got a chance to meet him.
What happened on that day?
Well, a few days before we did see him, my sister had said, well, we think possibly this guy could be your brother.
Brace yourselves. This one's a doozy. Ms. Swan owns up to her affair with the father, knowing full well he was married. Sparks fly as ethical dilemmas and emotional debates ignite, captivating everyone in the room. The upcoming reveal is even juicier, so don't go anywhere.
You did have a relationship with their father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you know he was married?
Yes, Your Honor, because when we first met one another, he told me he was married.
But why would you still mess with a married man? Why would you do that?
Not only was he a married man, but you were also messing with a guy that you knew was messing with your neighbor.
Friend,
and that was your friend. You sleeping behind with a married man, and you sleeping behind your friend's man or your neighbor man. Why would you do such a thing as being a woman?
Can you imagine? In a bold move, Ms. Swan named her son after the man she claims is his dad, throwing emotional grenades into the already chaotic mix. This gesture hints at deeper connections and potential fallout for everyone involved. Get ready, because the emotional fireworks are about to explode.
So you attempted to name your son after their father?
Right.
Well, you didn't attempt, you did.
Right.
And that was their father's name?
Right.
When was the last time you saw their father?
The last time I saw their father, he left my house and he got towards the driveway. And he got out of his car and told me he'll see me in heaven. And that was the end of it. That's the last time I seen him.
He'd see you in heaven.
Well, I don't think y'all gonna be in heaven.
Grab your tissues for this one. Ms. Swan recounts the poignant last encounter with their father on the very night he passed away. This heart-tugging narrative adds a somber note to the swirling drama and sets the stage for more revelations. The courtroom is about to get a whole lot more intense.
That night?
Because that night when he left my house, a friend of mine came by and told me he was dead.
Well, he didn't die at night.
My dad was found deceased at 5:30 in the morning, and she thought that he was just staying there, sleeping in. And when she went to go wake him up and tell him that breakfast was ready, my dad had passed. I think it came to him to where he was emotionally drained. That's what some of his friends was telling us, like he was emotionally drained.
Here comes the main event. Mr. Williams finally steps into the courtroom, facing the women who might be his half-sisters. His arrival cranks up the drama to 11 as emotions run high and family ties are put to the test. Keep your eyes peeled, because the next part ties it all together.
Go right up here on the left.
And we're here discussing, of course, the very sensitive subject surrounding your paternity and the plaintiff's late father. It is asserted that he is perhaps your biological father. We asked your mother, had you ever had an opportunity to meet this man?
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court that you are half siblings.
You knew it. The junior, he's the only boy.
The only boy.
All right, here's where things start heating up. Miss Scott kicks things off by sharing how she and Mr. Holloway were absolutely thrilled at the birth of their twins. But just when you think it's all celebration and baby showers, boom! The joy crashes when Mr. Holloway starts doubting he's the father of their older son, Jaden. He's pretty convinced that Miss Scott might have stepped out on him, questioning Jaden's paternity. And trust me, you'll want to stick around for what's coming next.
You say those joyous emotions quickly turned to shock when Mr. Holloway then began denying paternity of another one of your children, 1-year-old Jaden. You and your mother say that although you are the father of her newborn twins, you believe Miss Scott and thus older son Jaden is not your biological child.
Oh boy, the plot thickens. Mr. Holloway throws a curveball with accusations flying left and right. He claims Miss Scott has been chatting up her ex, Mr. Alexander, all through her pregnancies. He's pretty much convinced she's been playing the field, especially around when Jaden was conceived. Hang on, because the next part is a real doozy.
Why did you suddenly begin to deny Jaden after the birth of your twins?
Because when me and Miss Scott were in a relationship, she has kept in contact with Mr. Alexander the whole time throughout both pregnancies. Throughout her pregnancy the first time, she's contacted him through Facebook, text messages, phone calls.
So have you been contacting this man continuously, Miss Scott?
No, I have not.
Here comes a twist. Miss Scott lays it all out, explaining how she and Mr. Holloway were never really the picture-perfect couple she hoped for. She talks about her hit-and-miss contacts with Mr. Alexander and spills the tea on feeling a bit left out in the cold, craving a more solid commitment. And guess what? The story takes an even crazier turn just around the corner.
Me and Mr. Alexander, we're just friends. We did, mess around like years ago, and he's been my friend about as long as I've known Mr. Holloway. Around the time that my son Jaden was conceived, I had no contact with him. We haven't even been in a relationship. He won't even commit to me. He's left me multiple times for other women and committed to them. And I feel like I deserve that too because I had your babies. It is true.
You won't believe this bit. Mr. Holloway is digging deep into his suspicion toolbox, bringing up a specific week in October 2012 when Miss Scott supposedly hung out with Mr. Alexander. His doubt meter goes off the charts after moving in with Miss Scott and getting up close and personal with her prenatal appointments. The saga continues, and you'll want to hear what's next.
From the week of the 22nd of October to the 27th of October 2012, me and Miss Scott were together. She admitted to me during that week before that, her and Mr. Alexander have been in communication. Hanging out.
Had been intimate.
Had been intimate, yes.
No.
She admitted to me that she was going around where he was and they were together at certain times of that year. So when she got pregnant, 2012, ended up living with her at her grandmother's house.
This is where it gets spicy. Miss Scott talks about a Facebook post that threw Mr. Holloway for a loop. A pic of Jaden looking a bit too much like Mr. Alexander for comfort. This photo sends Mr. Holloway into a whirlwind of doubt about being Jaden's dad. Brace yourself because Mr. Alexander is about to enter the chat.
So that's when I began to have doubts.
I have a picture too, Your Honor, of it that my son texted to me with Jaden and asked me to be the judge.
I think another.
Let me see that, ma'am. Jerome, will you please hand me her evidence? So you say your son sent you this picture.
Yes, ma'am.
I made that picture on my phone.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
put this picture on your phone, and underneath the picture of Jaden is a picture of you
My son,
on
Arthur.
the left and Mr. Alexander on the right.
Yeah, and I never seen the guy before.
Grab your popcorn. Here comes Mr. Alexander with some crucial info. He steps up to the plate, denying any recent ties with Miss Scott and is adamant he's not the father, pointing out their last fling was way back when. He's sure he's out of the daddy race, but the best part, those jaw-dropping DNA results are just up ahead.
So, Mr. Alexander, you realize we're here discussing the issues that relate to Jaden's paternity.
Right.
Let me just start off by saying this. You have been in a sexual relationship before with Miss Scott. You have, and she admits to that as well.
Right.
Do you think Jaden looks like you?
No.
You don't?
No. I think he looks like her.
You think he looks like his mom?
Looks like his mom.
But nothing like you.
No.
Get ready for the grand reveal. As the envelope is torn open, everyone's on edge.
Is the father of 1-year-old Jaden Holloway, Mr. Alexander, you are not his father.
Yes.
Mr. Holloway, you are his father.
Yes. Yes. The judge, she's gonna keep denying me.
All right, grab your snacks and settle in, because we're diving headfirst into some real drama today. Kicking things off, the court clerk steps up to lay the groundwork for the showdown in Lillard v. Holt. Picture this. Mr. Lillard, after 2 whole decades, is hit with a bombshell. Ms. Holt's son, Delvin, who's now 20, claims Lillard is his dad. Ms. Holt, on her end, has been on a quest to get Lillard to step up as Delvin's father. Talk about opening a can of worms. Stay tuned, because the sparks are about to fly.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Lillard versus Holt.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Lillard, you say you were forced to open this case after receiving a message last year from Ms. Holt's 20-year-old son, Delvin Holt. Ms. Holt, you say you have unsuccessfully tried for 20 years to get Mr. Lillard to accept responsibility for your son.
Hold on to your hats. This story's about to take a twist. Mr. Lillard spills the beans on a day that turned his world upside down. He played hooky from school to spy on Ms. Holt, only to catch her red-handed with another dude as they stepped out of her house. This bombshell moment sent their relationship into a tailspin. Trust me, you'll want to keep watching as this tangled tale unravels.
Things were wrong when I caught her cheating.
What happened?
Miss Holt just decided not to be at school. Wasn't in none of her classes. We usually meet up in class, hallways, whatever. She wasn't there. I left school, walked 2 miles to her family's home, knocked on their door.
It wasn't even
Looked
like
through
that.
the peephole.
It wasn't even like that.
See shadows moving all around.
No.
Through the peephole?
Tiptoeing towards the door.
No.
Thought you'd seen everything? There's more. Delvin Holt steps into the spotlight, desperate for some answers about his dad. Amidst Mr. Lillard's steadfast denial and a history of dodged paternity claims, including a negative DNA test pointing to another guy, Delvin's plea for closure brings the drama to a boiling point. Don't go anywhere. The revelations that follow will blow your mind.
She says I'm pregnant.
There you go.
You remember the day she told you?
Honestly, no, I tried to block out my mind after that.
So you had the puppy love heartbreak over that.
It's my first time ever experiencing that.
Crazy.
I blocked out my mind, and I ain't never forgave her for it.
Darius was not present during any point of my pregnancy. He was not present any point of him being born.
But after Delvin was born, did you let him know?
I did. Let him know.
What was his response?
Of course, he still was upset.
And now for the moment of truth. Just when you think you've got it figured out, the episode hits its peak with the judge ready to unveil the DNA test results. What's in that envelope could change everything. Make sure you're sitting down for this.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lillard, you are not the father.
Okay, baby. Darius, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for putting you through that. I really am.
Strap in for this roller coaster start. Miss Collins brings Mr. Stone to court to establish paternity of her daughter, Samara. She describes the emotional turmoil following their fleeting relationship and Mr. Stone's subsequent disappearance upon learning of her pregnancy. Just when you think it's a regular day in court, it gets better.
Miss Collins, you have dragged the defendant to court to prove he is the biological father of your 4-year-old daughter, Samara. You say one day of bliss became a lifetime of hell when Mr. Stone up and disappeared when you revealed to him you were pregnant.
You're not going to believe this next bit? Miss Collins recounts how she met Mr. Stone on a dating site and their decision to meet up, which led to a night of unprotected sex. This is the moment she believes led to her pregnancy, setting the stage for the paternity dispute. Stick around, the soap opera unfolds even more.
Me and Mr. Stone met on a dating site. So we had a few conversations, text messaging here, calling there, until one day we decided that we will meet up. We were drinking, we were talking. So he said, well, why don't you just stay the night? You know, you've been drinking anyway, why don't you just, crash here?
Meeting him on the dating website, you all finally meet each other in person and have sex that night. Did you use protection?
At first we did, Your Honor, then afterwards it just went with the flow.
Next up, a plot twist you didn't see coming. After discovering her pregnancy, Miss Collins informs Mr. Stone, suggesting he could be the father. However, their communication breaks down and Mr. Stone moves away, complicating their relationship and the resolution of the paternity issue. And guess what? It spirals even further.
Find out you're pregnant. Who do you tell?
I went to a doctor. This was at the beginning of June. The doctor told me I was about a month long. So I'm like, okay. So after that, I give Mr. Stone a call. I let him know. I said, hey, I'm pregnant and there's a possibility that you might bother.
She never said that it was a possibility?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Pregnant.
Brace yourself for some vanishing acts. Miss Collins struggles to maintain contact with Mr. Stone after he moves to Arizona and cuts off communication, leaving her to deal with the pregnancy alone. Keep your eyes peeled because there's more intrigue to come.
He moves to Arizona, and I said, okay, well, keep in touch with me. His phone was cut off. I guess he deactivated his Facebook.
I've had the same Facebook for like 7 years.
He deactivated it because there was no way that I could get in touch with him.
So you couldn't get in touch?
No, ma'am.
So you're pregnant and you're trying to get in touch with him and you can't find him anywhere?
No, ma'am.
When she first told me that she was pregnant, she can't come kick it. I understand, you know, so I thought maybe it was the guy that she was messing with.
Watch as the plot thickens. In a twist, when confronted about the paternity after a few years, Mr. Stone learns he is not the only potential father. Miss Collins had previously believed another man was the father, which she later disproves through a paternity test. Don't touch that dial. The revelations keep coming.
You did not know anything about this baby for 2.5 years?
Correct.
It wasn't that long.
Yes, Your Honor. So she gave me the call. I was in Arizona. She's like, well, the person I thought that was father of the baby is not. So I'm like, okay. And then she said, the other person that might have been a possibility to be the father also is not.
Other person?
Yes.
The suspense is killing, isn't it? Mr. Stone expresses his skepticism about being the father, citing the complexity of the situation and Miss Collins' previous uncertainty about the child's paternity. Next scene, more surprises and gasps.
So, Mr. Stone, it's your feeling all of this time she really didn't think you were the father because everybody else knew how to reach you, and you don't feel like she was really trying to find you. Who has been raising baby Samara all this time?
I have.
Did you say another man was her father? Did you tell her another man was her father?
When I had Samara, she looked like my ex. They favored. They really did. After so long, speculations came up, got a test done, come to find out she wasn't his.
Get ready for some courtroom drama. The court attempts multiple times to conduct a paternity test, but Miss Collins does not participate consistently, raising further doubts about her intentions and the child's paternity. Up next, the plot twists at every turn.
She suggested that we do a at-home DNA test. So I was like, I don't really trust that. I don't know. That's not a doctor. But she said, I'll pay for it. I said, okay, I'm gonna get it. Never got it. Here we are 4.5 years later after the situation has happened, and now we're in your courtroom instead of just getting this taken care of in the first place.
3 solid attempts to get this done.
At least.
And 2 of the 3, she has backed out.
That's correct.
Hold on to your seats, folks. Miss Collins insists Mr. Stone is the father, citing a medical condition in her daughter that does not run in her family, but does in Mr. Stone's, pointing to a biological link. Just when you think it's all figured out, here comes another curveball.
I'm trying to get this test just as much as he's trying to get it done to make sure she's his daughter or not.
Is he the only other possible father?
Yes, Your Honor, because a few years, my daughter, she got sick. Come to find out she's hypoglycemic. Now, that does not run on my side of the family. So what I do, I'll give Mr. Stone a phone call, and he says, yes, I do believe that do run in my family.
Anybody could have hypoglycemia. I'm not the only person on this earth. I'm sure there's a whole lot of us.
Ready for the grand finale? The dramatic revelation occurs as the DNA test results are disclosed in court.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Stone, you are the father.
What? Ms. Brewington is here to prove that Mr. Lee is the biological father of her 3-year-old son, Giovanni. She claims Mr. Lee has been a father to Giovanni since birth, but now denies paternity to avoid paying child support. Mr. Lee, on the other hand, insists he has always known Giovanni is not his son and accuses Ms. Brewington of using him for money. You won't believe where this is going.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Brewington versus Lee.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Brewington, you are here to prove your 3-year-old son, Giovanni, is Mr. Lee's biological child, and you claim Mr. Lee has been a father to your son since the day he was born and is denying paternity because he wants to avoid paying child support.
Can you believe this back and forth? Ms. Brewington claims she conceived Giovanni in February, around her birthday and Valentine's Day, when she says they were intimate. Mr. Lee refutes this, insisting they were not sexually active during that time. The plot thickens.
Your Honor, I conceived my son in February. My birthday is February 1st.
All right.
And from the 1st until about Valentine's Day, we were,
Take me back to the day you found out you were pregnant.
Found out that I was pregnant. I actually went to the doctor to just re-up on my birth control. They said, oh, you actually missed your last shot. I didn't even realize that they said that they had to do a pregnancy test before they could go ahead with the birth control.
The suspense is killing me. Ms. Brewington recalls Mr. Lee's change in attitude once he found out the baby was a boy, claiming he then expressed love and insisted on naming the child. She offered a DNA test at the hospital, but Mr. Lee declined. Just wait for the next twist.
As soon as he found out that my son was a boy, he's like, oh, that's my boy, that's my boy. I love him. I had given birth because he had work, but he showed right up. He actually didn't even, they asked about the birth certificate and everything. He signed the birth certificate. He named my son. He wouldn't even, he was like, no, I'm not letting you give my son no dumb name. I actually told him I was like, you don't want to wait until, until we do a DNA test. I offered the DNA test in the hospital.
You signed the birth certificate, right?
Yes, I did.
If you had all this denial.
This just keeps getting better. Despite his doubts, Mr. Lee signed Giovanni's birth certificate. He claims he did not know he could not remove his name later, leading to Judge Lake questioning the logic behind his decision. The judge's response is priceless.
In my head, it was like, we already had a previous child. I'm gonna be in this child's life regardless.
You're making an execution of a birth certificate sound like a consolation prize or a consolation move. Well, since I'm gonna do this, I might as well. That's not why you sign a birth certificate.
I didn't know I couldn't take my name back off. I wouldn't have signed it.
So you weren't aware of the law. What I'm saying is, it just doesn't make any sense that you had absolutely no thought that this child could be yours.
The comparisons are striking. Ms. Brewington points out the resemblance between Giovanni and Mr. Lee, showing a photo comparison. Mr. Lee acknowledges some similarities, but remains unconvinced. The tension is building to a climax.
Oh, he is adorable.
And that's Jay.
And this is Mr. Lee as a child on the right.
Yes.
And you say you see a definite resemblance
between them two, yes.
They're light skinned.
When you look at this beautiful young boy, you really don't believe he's yours now that he's here in the world.
No.
They got the same hairline, no.
And so, but after you sign the birth certificate, do you then go forward being a father to Giovanni? Like, do you step up for him?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can feel her frustration. Ms. Brewington expresses frustration over Mr. Lee's denial and the emotional toll on her and Giovanni. Judge Lake empathizes with the difficulty of the situation. Emotions are running high.
And I can't wait, because the devil is a liar and this is Lucifer, so stop. No, I'm not.
Well, you might be the devil then. We'll see.
You all are a lot. And you talking about him like a dog, Miss Brewington. You know you love that man. It's so obvious. I don't know why we in here. You got all the snap.
I'm just saying.
And all you gonna do is snap back. Right back over there.
No, Your Honor.
Because you love that man.
The judge drops some wisdom. Judge Lake highlights the impact of the situation on Giovanni, urging Mr. Lee to consider the child's feelings and the importance of resolving the paternity question respectfully. Her next point is crucial.
Because Giovanni's 3. He calls you daddy. I could only imagine if his soul and spirit could truly process the fact that the man that I look at and I say, Daddy, when I come running up, is standing in a courtroom right now, clowning my mother, but also denying me.
This is the moment of truth. The DNA test results reveal that.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Lee, you are not the father.
Told y'all.
Mr. Walls kicks things off by accusing Ms. Walker of being a serial cheater and denying being the father of her child. Not only that, but he's also suing her for not returning his car. Ms. Walker claps back, saying Mr. Walls is indeed the father of her 3-year-old daughter, Adriana, and she's ready to prove it today. Judge Lake gets right into it by asking how this roller coaster of a relationship started. Buckle up, because this ride is just getting started.
Mr. Walls, you say that after spending a short time away from Ms. Walker, you caught her with someone else's hands in her cookie jar. You say Ms. Walker is a serial cheater and there is no way you are her child's father.
Yes,
All right, Ms. Walker, you say Mr. Walls is a sweet-talking liar who knows very well he's the father of your 3-year-old daughter, Adriana, and you intend to prove that today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Things just keep getting wilder. Judge Lake questions the seriousness of their relationship, especially since Mr. Walls didn't seem excited about the pregnancy. Ms. Walker admits they were separated when she got pregnant, and Mr. Walls confirms he was absent for about 30 days. Apparently, their relationship was more friends with benefits than anything serious, and there's more drama to come. Stay tuned.
So when she told you she was pregnant and it was your child, you had doubts?
Yeah.
Your Honor, when I told him I was pregnant, and he had said, well, I need to take a DNA test because he said he didn't trust me.
Because when I was gone for them 30 days, she admitted to cheating. I asked her specifically, I said, when I was gone, have you been seeing anybody else? She said no. I asked her again, I asked her again, I asked her again. Finally said yes, she was talking to another guy when I was gone.
This story just gets crazier. Ms. Walker admits being in the car with another man, but insists it was a family member checking on her since she couldn't reach Mr. Walls. Mr. Walls is not buying it and reiterates his doubts about being the father. The argument between them shows just how deep the mistrust runs. But hold on, the drama is far from over.
Right here, the car was in front of your house.
Right, in front
And you was
of
in the
my
car,
house.
right? You was in the
I
car.
admit cheating because I was not cheating when I got.
Was there
What
a
you doing-
man in
what
the
you
car
doing in the car with him
Guess
then?
what?
What you doing in the car with him then?
It was a family member.
Yeah, get them.
It was
Boy,
one
I'll
of my
tell you
family
the
members
truth.
came over
Boy.
to check on me because I was calling him the same day because
if I had a nickel. Me and my kid's mama, we were still living together when I was talking to her.
This just keeps getting more tangled. During Ms. Walker's pregnancy, Mr. Walls was completely absent. No doctor's appointments, no support, not even at the birth. Ms. Walker confirms she was on her own the entire time. Mr. Walls claims Ms. Walker didn't inform him about the birth in time. The plot thickens, and there's more drama ahead.
Throughout the pregnancy, you were by yourself?
Yes, Your Honor.
He didn't help you go to doctor appointments or any of that kind of stuff?
Nothing. He was not there.
Was he at the birth? Is he on the
You
birth
wanna know why I wasn't
certificate?
at the birth?
His name
Let's
was
not
birth
get there.
certificate, no.
Let's not get there why I wasn't at the birth. Let's get that together.
He came after I had a baby. He came at 7 o'clock that night.
You called me 7 o'clock that day.
No.
Your Honor, this woman called me. She called me and said I had the baby.
What a revelation. Judge Lake points out Mr. Walls' ongoing relationship with another woman as a reason for his unavailability during Ms. Walker's labor and delivery. Ms. Walker insists she called Mr. Walls when her water broke, but he didn't respond. Judge Lake emphasizes the importance of honesty in her courtroom. You won't believe what happens next.
We know what's happening here.
Well, that may be true.
That's what
may be true.
I major in truth in this courtroom. We know. I'm from Detroit too.
I know that's right.
So you can't out-talk me.
No, 100% that he is the father. Because when we went out for the first time, 'cause he was the motorcycle club, and we went there and stuff like that. We was talking and we were having a good time, a good night. And one thing leads to the next. I'm on the pool table.
Oh. Was
we did not use
operating hours?
Huh?
Nah.
You have to hear this expert's explanation. Dr. Tasha Rogers, an OB/GYN, explains Kuvaid syndrome, where men experience pregnancy symptoms like nausea and vomiting when their partners are pregnant. She describes how this phenomenon is hormonally driven and varies in intensity. Dr. Rogers confirms it's a real syndrome with a scientific basis, but clarifies it has no bearing on paternity. The courtroom's reaction to this is priceless.
To something that dad doesn't even notice, like love handles, and he figures he's getting a little bigger because mom's eating more, to nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain. So it does certainly exist.
So it's a real syndrome. It's a real thing.
Yes.
There's like scientific basis for it.
We know that hormonally, males get an increase in female hormone. They get an increase in estrogen and a few more.
When a woman's pregnant?
Yeah.
Now this is crucial. Judge Lake addresses Mr. Walls' lawsuit for $2,500, claiming he lent Ms. Walker his car, which she never returned. Ms. Walker argues that Mr. Walls gave her the car to use for her doctor's appointments during pregnancy. Judge Lake needs to decide if the car was a loan or a gift. The verdict is just around the corner.
You say you lent Miss Walker your car?
Yes.
And never got it back?
No.
Explain.
In my heart, you know, I'm a big old softy. You know, in my heart, I was like, I'm gonna give Miss Walker this car.
You gonna give her this car or you're going to let her use it?
I'm gonna let her use it.
He gave me the car, Your Honor.
The anticipation is building. Ms. Walker hopes the paternity test will prove Mr. Walls is the father so he can start supporting their child. She admits she can't take care of her daughter alone and needs his help. Judge Lake asks if Ms. Walker has anything to say to Mr. Walls before the results are read. The moment of truth is next.
To step up to the plate and do what you gotta do for your child. I just need help. I can't just take care of her by myself. I ain't make her by myself.
Is there anything you'd like to say to Mr. Walls before?
I just want to say, if it come back and says yours, I just need an apology. If it come back and says it's not yours, I'll give you an apology.
So early in court, Ms. Walker, you said that there's absolutely no way it could be anybody else.
No way.
The tension is palpable. The DNA results reveal that.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Walls, you are not her father. Ms. Walker, I gave you an opportunity. At least 5.
Well, I apologize.
Oh boy, can you believe what we're about to witness? Judge Lake kicks things off by introducing the roller coaster of a case. Valentin vs. Jordan. Ms. Valentin is here, all guns blazing, to prove that Mr. Jordan is indeed the biological father of her 3.5-month-old son, Michael Jordan. Mr. Jordan, on the other hand, is waving around a mysterious text message, like it's his golden ticket to freedom. And that's just the beginning of this wild ride.
Ms. Valentin, you are here to prove your 3.5-month-old son, Michael Jordan, is the defendant's biological child. You claim Mr. Jordan did not deny your son until you moved on and began dating other men. Mr. Jordan, you claim you have always known you are not Michael's biological father after discovering a text message Ms. Valentin sent to another man.
Wow, that was both surprising and oddly charming. Judge Lake and the audience react to Ms. Valentin's unique taste in men. She insists Mr. Jordan is handsome, but has that special dash of ugly she finds irresistible. This lighthearted banter is a funny break in the otherwise serious proceedings. But don't get too comfortable, because it doesn't stay light for long.
I think that's a first. I've never heard that. You say you like your men with a dash of ugly?
Yes, it's only a dash. He's still a very handsome man, and he has a very beautiful smile, but he still has a dash of ugly. Just a dash. He's not ugly. He has a dash of ugly.
Okay.
He's very handsome, but you know.
My day, we used to say we don't like them too pretty.
Exactly.
You all, it's a dash of ugly now.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I get it.
What an incredible twist. Mr. Jordan paints a vivid picture of finding another man at Ms. Valentine's house, which really fuels his doubts about being the father. He describes his suspicion upon seeing the disheveled state of her bedroom and a stranger making a quick exit. This detailed account adds a whole new layer to his request for a paternity test. You won't believe the next part. It's like a movie.
I appreciate you being detail-oriented. Ms. Valentine, so we know you were having sexual relationship. How did you find out Ms. Valentine was pregnant?
I came home one night and she had somebody living with her. I ain't never met
Oh,
a man
you're
one
lying.
day in my life.
Wait, you said
you
you
didn't
came
come home one night?
Yes, I
because
came
you never
home
lived
one night.
with
She
me.
didn't even know I was coming.
Whoa, that was quite a revelation. Enter Elijah Krebs, Mr. Jordan's star witness, who testifies about seeing a parade of men entering and leaving Ms. Valentine's home. His testimony backs up Mr. Jordan's infidelity claims and raises the stakes even higher. This new evidence really cranks up the intensity of the dispute. Just wait, there's more to come. It's like a courtroom thriller.
What do you know about this situation?
Well, I actually got an exhibit I'd like to show you.
Please step over to your exhibit.
I go to my friend's house. He lived in the same apartment complex she did. He lived right over here. She lived right over here. And in order for me to get to and from his house, I would have to go this way to go to the bus stop.
And when you would walk past, what is your testimony?
I seen men coming in and out of her house. Multiple occasions.
Your Honor.
On multiple occasions, Your Honor.
Did you catch that bombshell? Judge Lake steps in, admonishing both parties for their over-the-top behavior and reminds them of the real issue, their child's well-being. Her frustration is palpable as she urges them to focus on resolution and cooperation. This moment is a stern wake-up call in the midst of their chaos. The real surprise is just around the corner. You won't want to miss it.
You all are proving why I always say sex is not an after-school activity. It's not an extracurricular activity. It's not soccer. It's not baseball. It's not bowling. It's serious. You don't just get on the computer and decide, oh, I'm gonna have sex today, because it turns into this. And now we've got a little person. Look at this beautiful baby. I don't want him to grow up in this level of negativity and drama.
That was shocking. The big reveal is here. The DNA test results are out.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jordan, you are the father.
Holy moly, what an intense start to the case of Ashley Visa Bullock. Ms. Ashley is on a mission, claiming Mr. Bullock is her biological father. Mr. Bullock, however, is waving the nope, not me flag, citing some medical mumbo-jumbo. Buckle up, folks, because this roller coaster is just leaving the station.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Ashley versus Bullock.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Miss Ashley, you say that after years of searching, you finally located the man you believe to be your biological father. You say that after finding Mr. Bullock, he embraced you as his daughter before cruelly rejecting you the same way he did when you were a child. You say you have no doubt he's your biological father and plan to prove it today.
What an argument. Judge Lake jumps in to ask Mr. Bullock the million-dollar question. Why bother looking for Ashley if he doubted she was his kid? Mr. Bullock gives a half-romantic, half-tragic explanation about signing the birth certificate out of love for her mother. It's like a plot twist straight out of a romance novel gone wrong. The tension builds further as the courtroom drama unfolds.
I was there when she was born. I signed the birth certificate. I was in love with her mother. I wanted her to be my daughter. But
were you married to her mother?
I was married to her mother, yes.
When she was born, you were married?
No, ma'am.
Well, when I found him, which was on Facebook, I wrote him an email on Facebook and told him, you know, if you know who I am, please contact me.
So you submitted that message that you're speaking. My name is Ebony Ashley. I was born to your mother's name. I have a brother by the name of your brother's name.
Did you see that? Ms. Ashley isn't having any of Mr. Bullock's timeline shenanigans. She fires back, accusing him of spinning tales and misleading her all along. The frustration is real, and it's spilling over like a pot of boiling water. The debate heats up even more, and you can cut the tension with a knife.
I was with your mom, but I don't know. But we can handle
this. That's what I said.
No.
That's exactly what I said.
No, what you said was, come visit me and my wife.
Right.
Let me take you and meet all my friends. You bring me down there with my kids. I see meet your coworker, but you're not my dad, though, right? You playing a role like you're playing one right now. Come on now.
Your Honor, I wanted her to be my daughter. I was there when she was born. I signed the birth certificate.
Okay, so how embarrassing is this? I tell him, bring him to my family, meet everybody in my family, meet my kids, and now he's screaming he ain't my daddy.
What a confession. Judge Lake presses Mr. Bullock on why he signed the birth certificate if he knew Ashley wasn't his daughter. Mr. Bullock admits he did it out of love for her mother, hoping for a happy family future. It's a bittersweet confession that adds another layer to this already complicated case. The drama is far from over, and there's plenty more to uncover.
I met her mother right here. So I met her mother in July now.
In July.
Yes, ma'am. Count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ebony's supposed to have been born right here in November. So I figured she was born in November that early. She should have been an incubator or something. She was 9 pounds. Now, there's no way.
I was 9
that's
pounds.
mine. I mean, come on. I use your words,
5
Donna.
pounds.
That is a huge window.
Yes,
that is a very huge window.
Did you expect that? Ms. Ashley isn't buying Mr. Bullock's explanations. She feels he only accepted her when it suited him and is now trying to backtrack. Mr. Bullock stands firm, reiterating his belief that Ashley isn't his daughter. The confrontation intensifies, and it's clear this courtroom battle is far from over.
Say you signed the birth certificate.
Yes.
Why?
Why would you do that?
Because I was in love with her mother.
Did you believe Ebony was yours, Miss Ashley was your daughter when you signed the birth certificate?
No, I knew she wasn't.
Oh,
Okay.
now I'm getting a
No, I knew
newsflash.
she wasn't.
You're saying I knew she wasn't
ma'am.
mine
I knew
because
she
of the
wasn't
way
mine.
the timeline,
Yes, ma'am.
but because I loved her mother and thought we were going to be a family. Miss Ashley, did you ever hear that any other man could be your biological father?
No, ma'am.
What a reveal. Mr. Bullock provides an alibi, explaining his absence during Ashley's childhood. He blames legal hurdles and third-party interference for not being able to take custody. Ms. Ashley, however, remains skeptical, questioning his efforts. The truth is about to come out, and you won't want to miss it.
Where did you go? Why did you leave? Why did we get adopted?
I explained to you,
Where
sir.
were you?
I was at work when you got taken. Oh,
And
I tried to get you back. See, I tried to, what I supposed to do? The Lord steps in.
Every time he gets around, we argue, and then he turns around and does something like, for example, happy birthday. He wants to put on my post. We argue, and then he hits me on Facebook.
No.
That says happy birthday to a special daughter. Even though me and you argue like hell, you're still my little girl, and I will always love you, so enjoy your day.
This is getting emotional. Judge Lake reads a birthday message from Mr. Bullock to Ms. Ashley, which is as heartfelt as a Hallmark card. The message adds another layer of confusion about Mr. Bullock's stance. Despite the sentiment, Mr. Bullock maintains he always knew Ashley wasn't his daughter. Get ready for the next twist in this emotional saga.
Write her these kinds of messages on her birthday, and now you're standing before me saying, I know for certain that is not my biological child.
I have always known Yana wasn't such a messed up person towards me.
Are you suggesting that if Ashley weren't expressing this level of confusion and anger towards you, embraced her and never said a word?
Yes, ma'am.
How am I supposed to be?
You're supposed to act like a human being, like a decent human being.
That was informative. Dr. Samantha Brown Parks steps in to drop some medical knowledge on the courtroom. She explains what a disrupted testicle means and its impact on fertility, confirming that fathering a child is still possible with one functioning testicle. The revelations keep coming, and there's more ahead.
That suggests that during his service,
A hand grenade.
a hand grenade
A train flash.
exploded, and one of his testicles was injured. He then consulted a medical doctor, was told that he had a disrupted testicle, and that he may not be able to father children.
So a disrupted testicle is kind of a broad term, meaning that something has caused the sperm to not be able to get out of the testes during intercourse.
Shocking results! The air is thick with anticipation as Judge Lake reads the DNA test results.
It has been determined by this court, Mr. Bullock, you are not the father. I'm sorry, Miss Ashley.
It's okay.
Buckle up, the drama unfolds from the get-go. The episode starts with introducing the case, Miller Wright v. White. Ms. Miller has brought Mr. White to court to challenge his paternity despite his unwavering belief throughout her entire life that he's her father. The plot thickens as another potential dad waits in the wings, ready to step into the courtroom drama. Just when you think you figured it all out, there's another curveball coming right up.
Miller, Wright versus White.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Miller, you've summoned the defendant, Mr. White, to court to prove to him that he is not your biological father, even though he has believed he's your father your entire life. The man you now say is your father is waiting in the hallway and will join us in court in a moment.
Here's where it gets juicy. Ms. Miller lays out the complicated scenario of having two men in her life, both convinced they're her father. She grew up mostly around Mr. Wright, spending significant time at his place, while her moments with Mr. White were few and far between. This dual dad dynamic continued into her teens, stirring a pot of familial confusion. Strap in, because the emotional roller roller coaster is just picking up speed.
How is it that two different men are in court believing that they're your father?
I was raised around both men, but mainly around Mr. Wright. I spent most time with Mr. Wright. I used to go over to his house twice out the month, and I hardly spent any time with Mr. White. Up until the age of me being a teenager, I called both of them dad.
This part is a real doozy. In a revealing flashback, Ms. Miller remembers a pivotal childhood moment when her mother, back-turned, dropped a bombshell. She wasn't sure who her real father was, hinting that Mr. Wright might be a more likely candidate than Mr. White. This confession has haunted Ms. Miller into her adult years, tangling up her feelings about both men. And guess what? It's about to get even more tangled.
So my mom, her back was turned to me, and she said, I don't know who your dad is, and that she believed more so that Mr. Wright is than Mr. White is. I've known this since I was a teenager, so at this point I feel selfish because I continue to call both Mr. Wright and Mr. White my dad, and neither of them knew of each other until 2 weeks ago.
Neither men knew of the other one.
You'll never guess what she did next. Ms. Miller recounts the nerve-wracking moment just 2 weeks before the court date when she bravely confronted both men, demanding the truth about her paternity after a lifetime of doubts and whispers. The stakes are high, and the next part, it's a heart-stopper.
I want you to prove that you're my dad. And Mr. White got quiet, and I asked him again, I was like, I really want to know because I don't know. And then I said, my mom told me that she doesn't really know who my father is.
So pretty much, you've been living a lie for 30 years.
Yes.
And you were told as a child you had two fathers.
Yes, Your Honor.
Didn't see this coming, did you? Mr. White gives his side of the story, revealing his utter shock and disbelief when Ms. Miller questioned his paternity. He reminisces about his long-standing relationship with her mother and how he was there throughout Ms. Miller's upbringing, which makes the current doubt all the more painful. And just when you think you've got a grip on the situation, Ms. Miller's strategy throws us a curve.
She was born, I was with her mother 8 years after she was born. So I'm trying to figure out how did he get in the Miller?
And you still have no real information.
I still don't believe.
You've never seen this other man.
I know not as I know of I am.
So you lived as a family this whole time?
Right.
Until she was 8 years old?
My memory is kind of guarded, but I don't remember actually living, and I probably did.
My heart just breaks for you because I see you still trying to make sense of this.
Talk about a plot twist. Ms. Miller delves into the struggles of juggling relationships with both men, ensuring neither found out about the other, thus leading a double life. She steered clear of social media and family events to prevent the men from discovering the truth about each other. The courtroom's about to erupt as Mr. Wright steps into the scene.
Unsaid, and you just knew.
It was unwritten. It's like a habit you pick up. Like once you see, I saw my mom talking to one. So what I did as a child was just picked up on what I saw.
I'm baffled. But what would happen on Father's Day? Your mother would just have you call both?
Well, on Father's Day, I never really had Mr. White's number like that. I didn't call him all the time, and he never had my number.
Hold the phone. Here comes Mr. Wright. With emotions running high, Mr. Wright enters the courtroom, stunned but steadfast in his belief that he is Ms. Miller's true father, based on their decades-long relationship and his active presence in her life. He stresses the deep connections with his side of the family that Ms. Miller has always been a part of. Brace yourselves, because the DNA results are about to drop.
Family barbecues, which I spent a lot of time with Mr. Wright's side of the family, from barbecues to parties, birthdays, and I don't do that with Mr. White. For the sole purpose, other family members on Mr. White's side, I didn't want them to run back and tell him, like, who is this man? Miranda's calling her dad, or to raise a lot of drama. So I just completely closed all social sites.
And here's the big reveal. The courtroom holds its breath as Judge Lake announces the DNA test results.
It has been determined by this court. Ms. Miller's biological father is Mr. White.
I'm sorry.
Can you handle this drama? Ms. Hummel steps up claiming she was tangled in a love triangle with Mr. Pack and his current girlfriend, which has led Mr. Pack to deny he's the daddy of her daughter, Lola. Ms. Hummel has hit the court up for a DNA test to nail down that he is Lola's biological father. Just wait, things are about to get even juicier.
You claim you were caught in a love triangle with the defendant and current girlfriend, which has left him denying he fathered your 8-month-old daughter, Lola. You have petitioned the court for a DNA test to prove that he is her biological father.
You won't see this twist coming. In the middle of court, Ms. Hummel throws a curveball, suggesting Mr. Pack should also check if he's the father of another kid, freshly baked by Ms. Fuentes, sparking gasps and side eyes from the audience about Ms. Fuentes' recent adventures in motherhood and potential romantic escapades. Buckle up, because the next revelation is a doozy.
If anyone needs a DNA test, he needs to get one for the other child.
What other child? My child.
She just had a child 2 months ago.
You saying if he needs a DNA test, it's for that child?
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
She has been known to sleep around. while in relationships.
Did that really just happen? In a plot twist worthy of a soap opera, Ms. Fuentes confesses to romantic links with several members of the same family tree, thickening the plot considerably. This bombshell has everyone's jaw on the floor and injects a dose of doubt about who's parenting who. You'll need to sit tight because what's next will blow your mind.
You pretty much admitted to the fact that you had had sex with several members of the same family.
Yes.
And the man who believed he was your child's father was determined not to be.
Correct. I did. There was an incident where me and him had gotten in an argument. Basically, I kicked him out. I kicked him out for 3 days, and during that 3 days, I slept with my ex.
Here's where it gets spicy. Ms. Fuentes admits she skipped the protection when she was with her ex, right smack in the baby-making window for little Anthony. This nugget of info shakes Mr. Pack's claim to the father throne. The stakes are high, and the next chapter in this courtroom drama will definitely raise some eyebrows.
Did you use protection?
No, I did not.
Was that within the window of time your child was conceived?
It was. It was.
And this is baby Anthony?
Anthony, yes.
And so you admittedly say that during the window of time baby Anthony was conceived, you had gotten to an argument with Mr. Pack and you slept with your ex.
I did.
Mr. Pack, did you know this?
Yes, Your Honor, I did after it happened.
Talk about a roller coaster. Ms. Hummel spills the tea on her rocky ride with Mr. Pack, including a breakup and Mr. Pack's quick rebound to Ms. Fuentes. This tangled web of love and timing muddles the paternity mystery even further. Stay tuned because the upcoming testimony is nothing short of spectacular.
What was the nature of this relationship? What was this love triangle like?
We started dating in 2015. We've been on and off since then, and we broke up when I was about 12 weeks pregnant because he wouldn't get a job, so I kicked his out.
That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Let's use respectful language in the courtroom, but okay, so you told him get out.
Yes.
And you broke up with him, which means he went over to Miss Fuentes.
Yes, 48 hours later.
48 hours later.
The plot thickens as Mr. Pack lays out his doubts about being Lola's father, sparked by seeing Ms. Hummel with another man shortly after they split. The courtroom is on edge. This is the moment where all his uncertainties come to a head. Strap in. The revelations in the next few minutes are going to be explosive.
No, that's not what happened. He came to my house when they broke up, and this was, 3 days later? And as we're going down the street to my friend's house, we saw her walking out of a house with another man. So he had reasonable doubt to think that this baby is not his.
The doubt didn't begin at the breakup.
Yes.
Your Honor, there was also another 2 guys in the beginning of the relationship before I came that lived in the vicinity where she lived at.
You thought it was over? Think again. Mr. Pack drops a calendar bomb, showing dates he claims they weren't together, lining up perfectly with when Lola was conceived. This piece of evidence might just tilt the scales. Don't go anywhere. The reaction to this will make your head spin.
Lola was born November 21st. You count back, the week of conception would have been February 23rd through February 28th. You had no sex with her because you were broken up. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct.
Ms. Hummel, you're laughing at that timeline.
Yes,
Why
ma'am.
is that?
Because we got together in the middle of January. He's telling everybody that we were together, but we weren't having sex, or we were broken up. Okay, he was at my house 6 nights out of the week.
Grab your popcorn. Here comes the big reveal. The DNA results are in, and lo and behold, Mr. Pack is indeed the father of Lola. This crucial moment dissolves some doubts, but leaves others hanging, especially about baby Anthony. But don't fret, there's more drama on the horizon.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Pack, you are the father.
I told you.
And the saga rolls on. Just when you thought all cards were on the table, the episode wraps with the DNA verdict for baby Anthony.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Pack, you are the father.
Strap in, folks. We're diving into the deep end. The case of Lytle, Finister verse. Finister kicks off, throwing us into a family drama that's thicker than a Thanksgiving gravy. Miss Lytle and her sister are here to prove Mr. Finister is their dad, which he's as keen on denying as a cat is keen on a bath. Buckle up, because this family roller coaster is just climbing the first hill.
This is a case of Lytle Finister versus Finister.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Lytle, you and your sister claim you've always known the defendant is your father and say his paternity denial child caused pain throughout your childhood. You hope today's result put an end to this 29-year mystery. You claim that years of doubt have given you reason to believe that you are not their father.
Next up, grab the tissues. Miss Lytle unpacks years of baggage about growing up dadless. She talks about her cocktail of emotions, anger and defiance, stirred together with a dash of missing out. It's more intense than an episode of your favorite soap opera. You might want to sit down for what's coming next, because the emotional floodgates are just opening.
Growing up, I was angry. Always felt like there was a piece of me missing. I was very defiant. You know, I wanted my dad, and I didn't have him.
And I can see the pain. It was very hard for you, right?
Growing up, my mom, she had 4 kids, so she took care of all of us on her own.
He's been absent since we were kids. He was not there. Never any ownership. It was everybody else's fault but his. And I'm tired. I'm tired.
And now, for a real tearjerker. With a shaky voice, La Quieta reads out a poem titled Why, penned when she was just a kiddo, wondering why her dad skipped out. The room gets quieter than a mime's house at nap time. Keep those tissues handy. There's more heart-tugging ahead.
Daddy, why did you leave me? Why did you go? Didn't you know I loved you so? You couldn't stay and went away. Didn't you know I loved you? I cry at night wondering why, or if you even loved me. What was so important that it took you from me? Your selfish ways have left me hurt and lonely. Why do I feel like you don't want me? Maybe one day you'll come looking for me. Until then, I'll wonder only.
And as a young woman, you wrote those words.
Yes.
Here's where the plot thickens. Mr. Finister rolls out his side of the story, packed with more doubts than a conspiracy theorist at a science convention. He's been dodging the dad label like it's a flying shoe. The saga continues, and you won't believe the twist just around the corner.
You say you don't believe you're their biological father?
I have doubts.
Tell me the nature of your relationship with their mother.
We've met 30 years ago. She didn't have anywhere to live. I told her, come and stay with me. So she did. And that's where it began.
Where the intimate relationship began.
Yes.
Whoa, didn't see that coming. We take a peek at Mr. Finister's marriage snapshot, brief as a celebrity Vegas wedding. It's a glimpse into a past filled with hope and as many ups and downs as a caffeinated kangaroo. Stick around, because the story's about to go from soap opera to reality TV levels of drama.
I was about 1 in that picture.
And your mom?
She was a beautiful bride.
She sure was. I can see a look of love as you look at that picture. That makes you emotional?
She was special.
How long were you married?
Not long.
How long were you together?
Pretty close to a month before she left and went to Washington State. She wanted to move.
You look so happy on this day.
Well,
my mom was on drugs. My mom wanted to better herself.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Judge Lake pulls out a timeline that's sketchier than a $2 bill, pointing out gaps big enough to drive a truck through. In Mr. Finister's story about when La Quieta was conceived, hold on to your popcorn, folks, because this courtroom is about to turn into a reality show.
You're saying you don't believe La Quieta is your biological child based upon a timeline you submitted to the court?
Yes, ma'am.
On this timeline, you say you reconnected with their mother in the middle of April.
About 3 weeks before we got married, yes, ma'am.
All right, and you got married on May 4th. La Quieta was born September 29th.
Grab a front row seat to this emotional showdown. The sisters share their saga of struggle, standing together like the last 2 donuts in the office break room. They're battling more than just legal issues. They're fighting for recognition from a family that doesn't even know they exist. What happens next? More fireworks than the 4th of July.
And you 2 beautiful young girls have had to bear the brunt of it all.
We don't have anybody, so it's just us. That's the only family we have. So when we're going through it like we are now, we have issues, and when we are struggling or when we're about to be homeless, anything, we literally have nowhere to turn. We have no family on his side because nobody knows we exist. So we don't have no one. DeMarcus told us that he told his own family in Louisiana where he was raised, he has 1 child.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. No, not the halftime show, the verdict. The judge delivers the DNA results with the suspense of a season finale cliffhanger.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Finister, you are the father.
I told you. My mama does not lie. My mom is very blunt and very open. She's not a liar.
The courtroom was already buzzing when Mr. Page dropped the bomb about his ex's betrayal. Mr. Page opens the case by asserting that his ex-fiancée, Ms. Sutton, cheated on him and moved to another state with their son to marry her alleged affair partner. He further claims Ms. Sutton has a 2-year-old daughter, whom she asserts is also his, despite the girl being raised by her husband. He has petitioned for a DNA test to to establish paternity. Buckle up, because this roller coaster is just taking off.
Mr. Page, you claim your ex-fiancée and the mother of your 3-year-old son cheated on you and then took your son to another state to marry the man she cheated with. Now you say Miss Sutton also has a 2-year-old daughter whom she claims is yours, even though her husband has been raising her as his own.
The plot thickens as Ms. Sutton steps up to confess. Ms. Sutton admits to having sexual relations with both Mr. Page and her current husband during the same period, expressing uncertainty about the father of her 2-year-old daughter. She emphasizes her need for the DNA results to resolve this uncertainty and rebuild trust in her current relationship. Hold tight, the next revelation is a doozy.
Now, Ms. Sutton, you admit to having sex with both men around the same time and are unsure if your ex-fiance or your current husband is the father of your 2-year-old daughter. You are seeking a definitive answer when today's DNA results are revealed. You and your husband can rebuild trust in your relationship.
Cue the dramatic music as Mr. Page recounts the heartbreak and betrayal. Mr. Page recounts how he discovered Ms. Sutton's infidelity, which led to their breakup. He describes his emotional turmoil upon learning of the affair and his dedication to his family, working long hours, which he felt went unappreciated when he discovered her betrayal. Keep your eyes peeled, the saga continues, and it's about to get even juicier.
You would never believe what happened. My ex-fiancée, Alicia, cheated on me and moved to another state with my son. And then...
So wait, back me up. Back up for a second, Ms. Page.
Can I start?
You're together.
We was together, Your Honor.
You're engaged.
Yes.
And then you found out she was cheating.
Yes.
Ms. Sutton isn't holding back, and neither should you. Ms. Sutton defends her actions by highlighting Mr. Page's absence due to his lifestyle choices, claiming it drove her to infidelity. She explains her side of the story, detailing the emotional disconnect that grew as a result of Mr. Page's alleged indiscretions, which she learned from friends. Fasten your seatbelts. There's more turbulence ahead.
First of all, we have a 3-year-old son, and yes, he was there at the birth of my son. But the reason why I cheated, because you was never home. You want to do what you want to do, smoking, drinking. If I'm hearing you out doing all these things, why I can't go do? Y'all can take that picture down, because that's not a happy family no more. That was the beginning.
You're right.
That was the beginning of my 3-year-old son when he was doing what he had to do.
As if the stakes weren't high enough, Ms. Sutton drops another shocker. The focus shifts to the moment Ms. Sutton discovered she was pregnant. She details the confusion and fear surrounding the paternity of her child, leading to her decision to move back to Georgia with her mother for support, further straining her relationship with Mr. Page. Get ready, because the next piece of the puzzle is about to fall into place.
I want to get to this point where you two are in this relationship and you find out you're pregnant. Take me there.
Find out I was pregnant. Yes, I was scared. I didn't want to tell him the truth. When I told Micah I was pregnant, I was like, okay, it's either gonna be you, but I want to work it out with my fiance, because at the time, he didn't know I cheated until I told him, so me and Pierre was on good terms. But that's when Michael stepped back. That's when Pierre started acting stupid, so he was like, I ain't gonna do nothing for you and the baby.
Everyone lean in, because this part's crucial. Discussion in the courtroom turns to the 2-year-old girl in question. Ms. Sutton expresses her conviction that the child is her husband's, despite not having confirmed this through DNA testing. The judge stresses the importance of the test for the child's sake, not just the adults involved. You won't believe what's coming up next.
Have you ever seen this child?
I never met her, Your Honor. The reason I never met her is because every time I'm trying to go to the next level, I don't want to get close to her and then to find out she's not mine. It would hurt me. 2 men, you don't know who's your father.
I know it's my husband's. Thank you. I feel in my heart it's my husband.
The tension could be cut with a knife as we await the DNA results. The climactic revelation of the DNA test results confirms.
When it comes to 2-year-old Jalecia Mr. Page, you are her father.